Hey everyone, welcome into the Arena Fantasy Series Discussion Portal. I'm your host, Expat, along with my co-host, Burley. Burley, we're going to be talking about Lord of the Rings of Power. So episodes 1 and 2, we're going to be talking about that. Of course, episode 1, A Shadow of the Past. Episode 2, Adrift. So we're going to be talking about those two episodes. We're going to be giving our reactions to them and all. So, yeah, I mean, the most expensive TV show ever made. Of course, Amazon gets it, obviously. And boy, oh boy, I mean, the scenery in this. You were telling me before we started recording that this is going to create another boom for New Zealand tourism.
New Zealand tourism is going to go up as soon as like all of COVID is all done. As this show just continues to go, New Zealand, you're not going to be able to get a flight to New Zealand. They're just all sold.
right. Okay, let's get right into it. So Galadriel, I mean, she's badass, man. I mean, of course, we see her as a child in the beginning, and of course, her little paper crane boat gets destroyed and everything, and her brother comes up to her and comforts her and everything, and then they go back to the city, and then of course, it's basically the first 15 minutes of this are kind of like just a big time jump, And before I go on, I just want to let everybody know that we're going to be talking spoilers for episode 1 and 2. So if you have not watched the episode, please go and watch it before you watch the rest of this video. So this is your spoiler warning. If you've watched it, please stay here and enjoy. But if you haven't watched it, please go and watch them first, because we're going to be talking a lot of spoilers from episodes 1 and 2. So anyway, we get, of course, the brother going to battle, and of course he's looking for Sauron, of course, but the battle against Morgoth. Morgoth had been defeated, but Sauron was one of his disciples, so to speak. And,
lieutenants kind of thing. I can't. I'll be honest, because like I haven't read these, because this is all, for anyone that doesn't know, this is the Second Age. This happens like
thousands of years before the Lord of the Rings. Right.
So this is stuff I read back in like late grade school, early high school. So there's a lot I don't remember here.
So basically the Rings of Power are supposed to be from the appendices, I think, of Tolkien's histories.
It's from that and the Silmarillion, which was published after his death, and I think like his son took after some of it.
Right. So Finrod's his name, of course, the older brother of Galadriel, and so of course he dies searching for Sauron, and so then of course in our next image here, of course Galadriel is going to take up the mantle of the search for Sauron, I mean, just how she goes out. I mean, she's on a mission, man. I mean, and it's just incredible. Like the scenery is her and her band are going to the northern lands to look for Sauron. I mean, that was pretty cool. What did you think of that, Burley? Especially when they were climbing the ice.
Oh, I really like that. Like visually, this show. Let's just say, yes, we know they spent $1 billion on this. Damn, does it look good?
Oh yes,
Like I watched this on my parents' TV. I can't wait to blow this up when I go back to my apartment. Blow this up on my 4K TV and just see how it looks there.
Yeah, but I mean, just her fighting skills too. I mean, she's badass, man. What was it that kind of like that snow monster that attacked them in the cave?
Snow troll.
Snow troll. Yeah. Okay. The snow troll in the cave. I mean, boy, man, she just took care of business. She took care of business like it was easy. Yeah, so she's got skills, that's for sure. But Yeah, I mean, I just want to show on one of the aspects of the visuals of this series is so beautiful. I mean, this one image here of the elves there with Galadriel and her group that are going to be going to the west, obviously, because the king is saying, "Okay, it's time for you guys to live out the rest of your time in peace." And so you're going to get on the boat and then sail west. But I mean, look at this scenery here. I mean, the waterfalls and everything, so beautiful. Yeah, how
Oh
that
yeah,
was.
no,
Yeah,
the king wants them to go to Valinor, to
yeah,
go back to where
right.
they came from, because they
Yeah,
were originally there, but because
right.
of war and stuff that brought them over here.
Yeah,
And then you learn, because she is on this quest. She wants to find Sauron and deal with him.
yeah,
They're barely finding evidence. They
yeah,
found a little, but the rest of her company does not want to continue this fight.
yeah.
They want to go home. They're tired,
Right,
and all that.
right. And then when they get back, obviously, we get this image here of Elrond, and of course, Elrond, played by Hugo Weaving, and of course, the Lord of the Rings films. But yeah, I mean, Elrond here in the Rings of Power. I mean, he basically, uh, kind of talks Galadriel into getting on the boat. It's that was a pretty interesting conversation they had together. And then, of course, all the tree trunks, how they were carved out, and she was standing next to the tree trunk that was carved in the image of her brother. That was pretty amazing. There, that was pretty cool.
No,
So,
yeah, and I love how he's trying to tell her, and like he's also trying to get her to be like, it's just like you could go on this forever and just never find anything. And then he's like, so what do you want? Do you want us
right,
to have this whole forest carved?
right, right,
And that's where I think she slowly is like, fine, I will relinquish this. I will go.
right, right. Let's talk a little bit about the Harfoots. So, I mean, of course, the hobbits obviously descend partially from the Harfoots. Of course, there were, I think, three different branches, and the Harfoots were one of those branches that the hobbits descend from. But yeah, they're pretty, agrarian in nature, and they seem to move around a lot. And yeah, I really liked the scenery as well as, of course, the characters. Uh, that were in a Nori and Poppy. It was, I think, the two
Yeah.
girls' names, and Nori. I mean, she was very adventurous, and she wanted to go out, kind of like Frodo, in a sense. Uh, to go on this quest, but just to venture out into the world. And it's like her mother. It seems like that was her mother. I think wasn't having any of that.
Oh no, her
You know,
her mom wasn't having any of that. And as
yeah,
you see, like she breaks the rules. She goes out a
yeah,
little bit just to go to get to the berries and all that of the one little farm.
right,
But
right,
as you see between these episodes,
yeah,
there's good reason not to necessarily go out there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, let us know in the comments what you think of these characters, the Harfoot, as well as Galadriel. Elrond, of course. Let us know what you think of those characters so far in the first two episodes. So we'd really like to hear from you. All right. So next up, of course, we get. It's funny how in these two episodes, I really like a lot of people on the internet seem to be kind of nitpicky about the pacing, but I really like the pacing in a sense. It's like you get 5 minutes or so, or 5 to 10 minutes with one character, and then they shift off to another character, like in another part of the world, and then they shift off to another character. And of course, we get the tower, in the like in the southern part, the south, uh, where of course men are living, the realms of men that unfortunately back in the time of Morgoth, they were kind of like you know they were kind of supporting Morgoth in a sense. But after Morgoth was defeated, I mean, that changed. But the elves are kind of watching over this territory, So, I mean, what did you think of that, Burley? And what did you think of the scenery and the tower there?
Well, they're all up in the watchtower. I have to. So,
yeah.
The pacing, I just wanted to say, I thought the pacing was good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as you said, you're never with one character or an area too long.
Yeah.
So I feel it gives you a bit enough with enough, then goes actually to the next, then as you go through the 2 episodes. So I did like the pacing.
Yeah.
What
did you think before we go on? I just want to, of course, Arondir was the main elf, main character in the Southlands that we kind of veer off to, and he has this close relationship with the human healer Bronwyn. What did you think of that? I mean, there's also been some, like, unfortunate people, bantering on the internet about this relationship between the human and an elf, and I just don't understand it. I mean, I think it's fine, but go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I like it, but I get where people are still upset from the Hobbit trilogy, because you had the elf and the dwarf love relationship that was just crammed into those films. I think there's some people from that are still mad, but it's just like, I kind of like it. It's just something, because they're doing it, and it's also to show, even in this world where both sides hate each other. The elves hate the humans hate the elves. Yeah, like it's pretty much everyone hates every other race in this show. It is what it's shown, and that's the world it is.
Right, but this time frame takes place during, like, the second, the second age, right? So, and I think during the second age, that was the last time that elves and men were kind of like in like an allegiance with each other.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Well, that's not till the tail end of the age.
Right.
It is.
Yeah. So now, we're still way before that. So yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like it's at least a couple, like, if not 1,000 years, it's like a couple 100 years away.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but anyway, Arondir goes and with the healer, Bronwyn, and they, obviously this man brings his cow, and the cow had been, like, infected, and it had been, like, grazing to the east, and so they go off and take a look, and it's like this whole village is just, like, burning, So obviously, and the thing about Bronwyn's son, he finds this, like, kind of a memento of the age of the war with Morgoth and Sauron's, I guess, a type of sword, like a broken sword piece. Yeah, and that doesn't bode well for what's going down. What'd you think of that?
Well, yeah, no, it does not bode well. I believe it is a blade of Morgoth.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm gonna probably screw up the lore here, so if I'm wrong, sorry, please let me know in the comments if I'm right or wrong. And because I believe, Sauron learns the way of smithing and all that, and then he starts off making these kind of blades,
right,
and stuff, like weapons like this. So I believe this is a blade Sauron made. And that's just him, like, it's just a forgotten blade. But I do love how they're not just outright explaining this. In these 2 episodes, you get just a bit with this blade.
Yeah.
And what we've been shown, it's a really interesting, and it has me hooked to see how this is going to go for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about episode 2. Of course, we get the dwarves, obviously. It's interesting how Elrond, of course, Elrond gets paired up with the kind of like the great designer of the age, and so they need some other people to help them to build these fortresses that that the guy's thinking of making, and so Elrond proposes to go to the dwarves, and so he takes the guy with him over there that he's working for now, and the dwarves, it's like at the doorstep, it's like Elrond saying, "I'm really great friends with the prince," and it's like they're not even going to let him in, and so he has to say, well, I challenge him to a certain duel, and so then they open the door and take him in, and then basically they start breaking rocks. I thought that was cool, but yeah,
I really liked it, and as you get the little challenge and all that, but I like how they don't reveal it right away, and then because he loses, because you're not going to beat a dwarf at a rock breaking contest.
Right.
Good, like you're out your mind.
Right.
He was just trying to get in there so he could try and talk to the prince, and the prince is like, goes to the prince at the end. He's like, "Can you escort me out?" "Fine, yeah, I'll escort you out." Yeah. And then the prince gives it back to him. And he's like, "It's been over 20 years since you've seen me. I've been married. I'm now married. I have children." He's like, "It may be a blink in the eye for you,
right?
But I've had all this happen. You just ignored me."
Right.
I love that. So he's like, "Yeah, if you haven't talked to someone in 20 years and you've missed all these important events, and to you it's like, oh, it's just a blink in the eye. It's like, oh my God."
Right.
You can understand why he's pissed and being like, I'm not going to help you. Why would I help you?
Yeah, but then of course, obviously, he takes him to see his wife, and of course, as you can see in the image there on the right, and the wife wasn't going to have any of it. He's like, "Elrond, you're staying for dinner," and then it's like she was basically like the middle person in mending the relationship between the two, and finally, it got to a point where Elrond's proposal was taken to the king of the dwarves, and so the prince talks to his father, and it seems like he's still a little apprehensive, the king, of helping out the elves with this particular project, but we'll see where that goes, where that leads. But back to the visuals, I mean, inside of the realm of the dwarves there, I mean, that was just amazing how massive it was and all. So yeah, what'd you think of that, Burley? I mean, that was pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, no, that was cool. Just that whole dwarven area and just how massive. Like, it shows you they are not just doing simple small sets. Like, this is showing you you put the time, you put the effort and the budget, because not all, like, they're doing CG. Let's make no sense. They are doing CG, but they're also doing models and stuff, and they are putting the time and effort, because that was a huge thing with Lord of the Rings when they made those films. They made the sets, they did models and all this stuff and all the hard work.
So let's get back to Galadriel a little bit here for a second. I mean, of course, she jumps off the boat. She doesn't go with her, compatriots into like
Valnor.
kind of like a Valhalla. Valnor. So, but she's like swimming, and then she catches up to, some people on a little raft, and then it gets destroyed by a creature in the water. And only one person survives. His name's Halbrand, and he tells her that he's, fleeing from orcs, and so she wants to know exactly where they are and everything. And I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, so we're gonna see more of Halbrand later. I'm probably sure that he's gonna, be escorting, Galadriel on the quest. So.
He's gonna be through for a while in this season, I imagine. I do like their dynamic of, they both don't like each other, like they both don't trust each other, but they have to as they're going on this raft. And like he saves her, she saves him, kind of thing. So you do have that. So they know enough. Like, we have to work together, or if we're gonna survive.
Yeah.
And then we get their ending to their story of them just coming up to a ship, whether it's got to be a ship of friendlies or not. Who knows?
Yeah. And then let's get back to Arondir, of course. He basically, warns Bronwyn to go back to the village and warn her people. And she runs back there, and the people are basically not having it. And of course, Arondir goes into the kind of like this cave area and everything. And eventually he gets like snatched up. Probably by orcs or something.
Well, that's the thing. Like, we don't know what snatched him.
Yeah.
Because from what we saw, you see later in the episode, is her son.
Right.
As he's thinking, because he gets the line earlier, I couldn't sleep because there's mice dancing underneath the boards. He's poking at the boards because he hears it through the day, and then it opens up. He goes to hide, and then we see when she gets home. And she ends up. He tells her, "Run, get help." She goes into the closet, and was it an orc? Was it a goblin? Like the face, little because it had some weird little mask thing on that kind of remind me of Khonshu from Moon Knight.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but anyway, they succeed in killing the orc, and then she takes the head back to the people, and it's like from there on, man, it's like, okay, we're leaving. Yeah.
Well, I love it. She's like, we make we leave by sunbreak next day, and it's like, you already had one in your house. Like, I wouldn't be staying in my house with my son.
Yeah.
But I do like he does use that weapon he took. The Morgoth blade. I love at the end there some random blood, whether it was from a wound he had or something.
I think it was from a wound he had, and then it started to, to go on to the sword or whatever.
Yeah, it's like almost like the blade drew the blood.
Yeah.
And then you saw it's the blade is
looking like it's cursing, like it's cursing him. Yeah. So
it's cursing him maybe, but it's also looking like the blade is becoming back to normal. Like,
well, it's now it's like wherever the boy goes with it, it's gonna follow him. So so and then of course the Harfoots, and we get the girl, she sees this meteor in the sky at the end of the first episode fall down, and through the second episode, obviously we get the man from the meteor. So, I mean, there's all these questions, about who this man is, what role is he going to have to play later on in the series? It's a really interesting question. And obviously, the Harfoot girl was kind of hiding him and not telling her family about him. And then towards the end of the episode there, he uses the firefly lanterns and the fireflies to align the stars, in the constellation. And so what does that mean? I mean, that's going to be interesting to find out. What are your thoughts on this, Burley?
Yeah, I really like it because in these two episodes that we get of this character, the first episode just showing him flying out of the sky, we have no idea. And like so many people on the internet are like, it could be one of 10 different characters. So it's nice to see that it's not so spelled out, so because you've got people thinking it's Gandalf, people thinking it's Morgoth Reborn, a whole bunch of other characters. There's actually people that think it may be the character if you played the Shadow of War games. I've seen that the one elf, the one the ghost elf that goes in I forget the character from Shadow of War, but thinking it could be him.
Yeah, we haven't seen his ears yet, so we don't know if he's an elf or not. Who knows? But So Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power. So this has been our episode 1 and 2 reactions to the 2 episodes. So overall, we thought it were excellent episodes, and we're looking forward to the 3rd episode coming out later this week. And obviously, we will make a video for our reactions to that. So please leave any comments you have about the first 2 episodes, how you enjoyed them. Leave them in the comments for us. We'd really like to read them, and we'll, of course, get back to you. And, of course, if you like this episode, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe and the notification bell for when we drop a new episode here on the Arena Fantasy Series Discussion Portal. So I've been your host, Expat, along with my co-host, Burley. We hope to catch you in the next episode. So take care, everyone. Peace out.